Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. A good surprise chord can add pop, flavor, something unique and signature to a conventional chord progression. There's lots of ways to go about doing it. Most of them are non-diatonic chords, which we've talked about before. But today, I want to look at my favorite surprise chord. I suppose it may not surprise you. Okay, listen to this progression. C, A minor, D minor 7, G. And I play that really just to get it in your ear. We're in the key of C. Those were all, I guess we'll just say, diatonic chords, right? Chords that are exactly from the scale. I built all of those triads and seventh chords from notes that are in the scale. Now, surprise chords will always grab notes, maybe one or two or even more, from outside the scale. They may use the technique we call modal exchange. Let's look at my favorite surprise chord and see if it sounds familiar to you. C, A minor, D minor, well, there it is right there. The minor 6 chord built on the 4th step of the scale, minor 4. Really specifically, minor 4 with the 6th added. Now the 6th, there's the triad, and that extra note right there is a really important part of it, and I want to talk about why that's true. Here's the C, just to get it in your ear. And now here's that F minor 6. Do you hear it pushing up like that? I certainly do. The A flat and the D together make a tritone. It's a strongly dissonant interval that has a lot of conventional resolutions. But the resolution here is not conventional. It sort of breaks some of the tritone rules that are built out of dominant chords. And I think that's why this is so beautiful. The minor 4 chord is a chord that we borrow from the parallel minor, right? It doesn't really belong in the major scale. It belongs in the parallel minor to C. It's an example of modal exchange. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Here's the C minor sound. The 2 chord is D minor 7. The 5 chord is G7 flat 9 and then back to C minor 7. This 2 chord, D minor 7, has all of the notes of the F minor 6 chord. The D is at the bottom, but there's the F, the A flat, and the C. You could say that F minor 6 acts like D minor 7, flat 5, which is the 2 chord in minor. I'd resolve to C minor there. I could also, resolve to C major or go other places. In fact, the going other places is what makes this fascinating because that tritone has some power. Listen, that tritone, I'm going to remind you what it is. A flat and D, it could resolve outwards by half steps or inward by half steps. Remember, tritones tend to do that in any dominant chord. Tritones want to resolve. I'll just remind you, we'll take a look at it here. Let's say we have a G7 chord. The tritone is the B and F, and it wants to resolve inward to C and E. In other words, G7 wants to resolve to C, and you can see the tritone pushes in. Those same 2 notes are the tritone from D flat 7, and that wants to resolve outwards to G flat major. In other words, there's two possible directions for the tritone to resolve. We can take advantage of that to use that F minor 6 chord to go a couple of unique places. Listen to this chord progression. It's C, F minor 6, E flat major. The tritone resolves out to E flat. It's epic, and now we're really in a new key. You could say that it has a relationship to the E flat major, and that F minor is part of the C minor system, which is the relative minor of E flat, but your ear is still kind of drawn to the E flat major, and now we're really in a new key. This has a lot of use in cinematic music. All right, so if it can resolve outwards, it can also resolve inwards. C, here we go, F minor 6, A major. It's a beautiful, sort of weirdly settled, but we're in a new place type of chord. Oh, it's so effective. C. It's great for the ending of something where you don't want to really feel like we're all done. The minor 6 chord is a beautiful sound with a lot of color, almost like the impressionist composers, Debussy, etc. And if we perform it a little bit differently, we can kind of create a lot of texture and energy. Here's an example of that same chord progression that we just used. We're pushing it even a little bit harder. We've taken advantage of the fact that F minor 6 has an A flat, and the A flat can be changed to G sharp to take us to E7. And the E7, of course, takes us to A major. Listen to how beautiful this sounds. F minor 6, tiny shift to E7, and then resolve to A. It's a beautiful effect, and one that leverages the sort of secondary dominant qualities of the tritone, and then spins it a little bit, makes a change, and then moves us forward. It's really terrific. Well, I guess the last thing to say about that F minor 6 chord is something that I said already, which is that it has exactly the same notes as D minor 7 flat 5. In other words, it's a 2 chord. So 2, or F minor 6, G7 altered, and it resolves back down into the C major chord. In other words, the F minor 6 chord here really functions as a 2 chord. The A flat, the weird tritone between the A flat and the D, kind of gives way to another tritone, and then onwards into C. Well, it's a great surprise chord, and like any surprise chord, it's a non-diatonic chord. We've borrowed it from the parallel minor, but of course we've seen it does a lot more than just imply the minor. It acts kind of like a dominant chord. You can go a couple of different directions, and generally speaking, adds a kind of a beautiful, slightly uplifting quality to things. We actually see this chord appearing in pop music all the time. I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.